G'day guys, welcome back to another video. What we're going to look at today is lesson 5, and we're looking at sitcom mythology here. And we're looking at the role that the mythology plays in the creation and perpetuation of the popular culture. So we'll break down that dot point in a second, but please make sure you're highlighting that and dating that. And off we go, page 12. So here we are. So our dot point today, in breaking that down, when we're looking at mythology and what that actually means, we've got a definition right here in the first dot point under your notes. So mythology is a set of stories that serves to support a worldview or idea. So when we're looking at mythology, a lot of them are based off social constructs in terms of society and culture language that we might use. But the social construct is that a lot of the mythology is grounded in some sort of truth, typically, but then it's very much accentuated, fabricated, and deliberately made bigger than Ben-Hur, almost, in order to fabricate and support or explain different ideas about that sitcom and that character. So if we were to look at I'm going to use this example because it's a perfect sitcom example for mythology. If we were to look at the Big Bang Theory as a sitcom, what we can see in how they dress is very much related to the mythology of the nerd. So you've got Sheldon, for example, is wearing a Green Lantern shirt, so the idea that nerds like superhero movies. Again, that's reflected in the belt here from Howard, I think. And then it's then made over the top when you actually watch the show and you see their behaviours and mannerisms, that mythology of being a nerd is very much over the top, because in creating that mythology, it helps perpetuate that popular culture, especially in sitcoms. So what we mean by perpetuation, if something's perpetuating, it means, and you might want to highlight this and do a little arrow down here, or you could draw a little infinity symbol below it. So perpetuation is to be able to keep doing something, to make something go forward. So in the sitcom sense, it's to keep consumers engaged. It's to keep the commodification and commodity process of sitcom culture continuing forward so that they can make more money, and then it can remain a popular culture. Because as we know, part of our distinguishing characteristics is that it needs to constantly change and adapt. So in order to perpetuate and continue, they really need to weave these myths in as part of the creation of the pop culture to make it entertaining and to make it interesting and engaging, so people will keep coming back to watch sitcoms. And mythology in sitcoms is really strong. Sorry, that's probably a bit loud. It's really strong and over the top because it's funny, and the more something's over the top and the more crazy and extreme it seems, the more jokes, gags and punchlines that they can get out of it. So when we're talking about that role of mythology, that's where the stereotypes, you might even want to put that above mythology, that's the main sort of myth that they use in sitcoms, is those stereotypes that are relating to those myths, like I was talking about with Big Bang Theory. So a lot of that mythology and stereotypes surrounding the nerds is that they find it difficult in their romantic and dating lives, and you can see that played out throughout the show. And most of the gags and jokes are relating to that nerd mythology and how they struggle to make any sort of sexual advances or relationships with women. And so that's that mythology coming through there, and the audience typically finds that funny, again, because it's exaggerated, and that helps perpetuate it. So that's mythology with sitcoms there in a nutshell. There's some really good core notes and examples there. Once you've gone through that, what I want you guys to do is watch this clip. I'll put the link in our checklist for the week on Google Classroom. But I want you to watch that clip, and I want you to note the amount of times humor or punchlines are based off the socially constructed mythology surrounding nerds. Now, we can definitely look at any sitcom here would work. Gender stereotypes or gender mythology is a really common one in a lot of shows, because a lot of sitcoms are based on the family. So things like Modern Family, Everybody Loves Raymond, The Simpsons, those kind of sitcoms do joke around those socially constructed mythologies surrounding, the father's relationship within the family, the brother, the sister, the mother, etc. But with friends, such as in Big Bang Theory, it can be based off different things. So once you've watched this video, I want you to, note how many punchlines are socially constructed because of that mythology surrounding nerds. And I want you to try explain how they relate to nerd mythology. So say there's a joke about Raj in there. I'm sure there'll be one relating to how he really, or even Howard here, how he really struggles, or any of them really, how they struggle to talk to women because they don't know all the things that they know to talk about are science and video games and superheroes and things like that. And the punchline is that they're not suave enough or cool enough or the jock sort of stereotype to be able to communicate that to women. And a lot of the time that's the punchline or the joke there. So watch that episode there. Or it's not an episode, it's kind of a contemplation of a lot of their big jokes. But write down 3 jokes or 3 things that happen within that clip and tell me how it relates to that nerd mythology. So pause the video now and do that. Alright, now that you've done that, we've got a bit of a practice HSC question. Welcome back. So we'll break down this question. It's a... Excuse me. So it is a 5-mark question. So we know our 5-mark questions in society and culture are typically 1 page in length or thereabouts. You usually don't get this wider line. Your lines are usually in your HSC only about that wide. And so you've got a bit more room to fit some words here. So when our 5 markers, you might write a page, page and a half. A page here will translate to probably about a page and a half. So our question is to examine the role of mythology in the creation and perpetuation of one popular culture you have studied. So we'll break it down like we normally do. So when we're examining something, we're inquiring into it. Think of it almost as an explain on steroids. So when you're examining something, you're really going into detail about the how. So when we're looking at examining the role of mythology in the creation and perpetuation of one pop culture, we know that's sitcoms. So we're explaining how, or we're looking in critical detail of how mythology helps create and perpetuate sitcoms. So when we're talking about create, we're thinking, how does that mythology create, humor in relation to sitcoms? How does that create an engaged audience that wants to keep watching and viewing sitcoms? And when we're looking at perpetuation here, we're looking at how does that continue to allow the sitcom to remain popular. Okay, so have a go at that. If you are feeling, that that's a bit of a tricky question, come and see me and I can help explain it to you more in person. But you may see that and be able to knock that out. Remember, with Peel paragraphs, we need 2 peels for a 5-mark question. No need for an intro, no need for a conclusion. What you might also find helpful with this mythology one is if you go to, you can quickly glance at, where is it? It's a bit further down, but there's some more notes here on gender and heroes and mythology that you may find helpful there as well. But see how you go, let me know. Always around the corner if you need help. Alright, thank you. See you in the next one.